Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Peggy.
And you are watching Junction Fiber Mill's Millcast.
Yeah, and we usually record on a Monday and then drop it on Tuesday, but I said to Amanda, you look really pregnant. What if you aren't here
All right,
on
show
Monday?
and tell. Show and tell.
Again, oh my God.
Okay, and for those who want to keep track here, we are at, when you're seeing this, I'll be just over 38 weeks pregnant, which I think is like, full enough term.
Yeah. So I said, let's record Friday just in case you don't make it through the weekend.
Yeah. Well, because we decided to have a really special something to tell you about today. So we were like, okay, if we're going to cue this up, and it's, because we really should, we just want to make sure we definitely get it in. So
before we jump in, though, I have to say, it's a gorgeous day. It was incredibly blustery earlier in the week. This morning, though, Todd's out of town, so I got sheep duty, dog duty, etc.
Running the farm this week.
Yeah.
What's Todd doing?
Todd is skiing in Utah with my brothers and brother-in-laws. It's an annual thing, and it's very much what happens in Utah stays in Utah.
Oh my God!
I think he's in Utah. I don't actually want to know because it's not my vacation, so I'm not tracking it. But I think he's having a great time.
Great.
And he'll be back Saturday night around midnight.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you've had it almost a whole week then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's okay. It's just, it was bitter cold, but I took a picture this morning, so I have to walk the dogs early in the morning.
Yeah.
And I took a picture because the sky was just gorgeous, and I was all bundled up. The wind was only 8 miles an hour, which isn't bad. Tuesday it was 22-mile-an-hour winds, and walking the dogs in that is just brutal.
Because of the wind chill factor.
Yeah, it was -2.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was bad. Anyway, I just want to say, point out my morning. Anyway, so the reason why we really wanted to record something.
Let me think if I have any chit chat before we get into it. I want to say that I have had a pretty good week pregnancy-wise.
Good.
In terms of energy level. It's so funny how these things happen where it's like week 30, horrible, and you feel like, God, I have like 2 months left of this, and then it's like randomly close to the end you get good weeks where you're sleeping okay and you don't feel like your legs are gonna give out and you wake up feeling refreshed. That's like where I'm at now, where I'm like, it could happen any day, but like I'm honestly okay right now.
I have to say, you're giving me a flash when I was pregnant with Kate. I at 30 weeks, I happened to have an office with a door, and it had a window, one of those long narrow windows. And at 30 weeks, I would close my office door and slump against the door and slide down so that people looking in couldn't see me, and I would just sit against the door and
it'd be like, how am I getting off the floor now?
I was just so tired. I was so damn tired.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know the feeling.
So, but this week has been good, and I managed yesterday, speaking of like we haven't had new snow in a while, so it's all gotten a bit crunchy, icy. But the past 2 days, I've managed to get out on like a little walk in the woods with the dog, and she needs it. It's good for me, but yesterday I managed to make it all the way. We are really lucky. Across from our house is this, there's a snowmobile trail, and then there's all these sort of side trails off of it, and no one really ever goes up there, so it's sort of what especially now that I'm pregnant and I have to manage getting snowshoes on, there's no chance I'm doing it aside from like a seated position on my porch, and then once they're on, so I found a path right across the street, so I just have to sort of clomp on the road for like 5 seconds, and then I'm in the woods. Right,
but when you're in the woods on the snowmobile trails, have they been used so it's reasonably packed down?
And then I've packed down the like little bit to get, so that I don't have to take roads to get to these trails. Just the section right across from our house, which is woods, I sort of like blaze the little path. So I'm like right in the woods immediately, and then I take the dog. There's a bunch of different ways I can go, but yesterday I was proud of myself. I made it all the way on top of the hill, and there's quite a steep section, and I've made it about once a week in my third trimester, because I've been feeling okay enough to do it, and the doctor says good news. So I've got my poles, I've got at least like spikes, and I go very slowly, but it always feels like such an accomplishment to like summit a little peak, and you can see a Scuttney mountain from up there. So I did that yesterday with Rye, and it was lovely.
Excellent.
I didn't take a picture, but I've gotten plenty throughout, but I don't know. It feels like it might be the last time. We'll see. Of this pregnancy.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then I'll be up there with the baby. It'll be great.
Very good. So, drum roll.
Drum roll. Okay, the reason we definitely wanted to get a somewhat coming to you live episode in is that we are turning 3.
We're turning 3.
The Mill's birthday is next Friday.
Yeah, Friday the 23rd. man, it seems like a long time ago, and it seems like yesterday.
I know.
I so remember standing there and putting tape down on the floor where we're going to put all the equipment, and man, we didn't know. We so didn't know what we were doing.
No, and the first, like, good chunk of time, I was like, we're gonna definitely, like, something's gonna happen, and we're gonna be out of business tomorrow. And so I think 3 years feels like, oh my God, we're just, the wheels are going. Like,
the wheels are going, and
business.
And I, honest to God, if you had told me 3 years ago that we were going to be more than just custom processing, that we were going to be having our own line of yarns and all this stuff that doing a Millcast, forget it. All we thought we were doing was hanging our shingle out and doing custom processing
and
for
running
New England sheep farms.
Like the exact way that Michael Hampton had before when we bought the equipment from him.
And it just, you know, I've got this expression, like the sun shines over this little business in the nicest way.
Yep.
We just feel so darn fortunate. And we could not have gotten to where we've gotten without folks like you who watch the Millcast and care about our journey. It motivates us in a lot of ways. So thank you.
It's so great to hear of like new mills springing up in the meantime. We've been able, you know, now that we've had a few years of experience under our belt, folks are asking us for advice about their mill setup and all this, and it feels really humbling to be in a position that, like, oh yeah, we know a thing or two.
We do know a thing. We're still learning, but absolutely.
And it's not, I think when we got started, it was, you know, you hear about mills that are closing and you hear about mills that are opening, and every mill that closed, I was like, is this a bad idea? And it, you know, for us, it really has not. It has been it's blossomed into a good little business for us.
Right.
And it's so hopeful to see all these other mills starting up too. And I think
but I also think that mills have a life, especially if they're started on a farm or it's a husband and wife, and there's the arc of how long can they do it, and then, you know, even if you sell it, that the equipment's got to get moved, so it's going to get renamed. The equipment will live on, but that mill as you knew it was tied to those owners. And in many cases, most cases, I want to argue, the co-owners are of the same age. So, you know, it's going to be 15 years, 20 years, and then something. And I think that's what's going to be fun about Junction Fiber Mill is...
Who knows?
Well, true, but it has a better shot of hanging in there for the long haul.
Yeah, and we really...
With her, because she's a little younger than I am.
Yeah, that's what you're getting at here.
Yeah.
Well, and it's... I mean, there's so much to say about what we've done, I think, in 3 years and where we're going and what our plans are, but we haven't slowed down and we haven't run out of ideas.
No, and you know, you hear these stories of you don't really know whether a business is going to make it or not until it gets to 5 years. You know, I think that's sort of a standard thing about startup businesses. You really don't know. You're not going to make a profit in the first year. We did. You don't really know if it's a viable business for at least 5 years. How about 3, 2.5?
I mean, maybe we've had really lucky first couple years. I'm not gonna. I think the 5-year mark is gonna feel particularly
it'll be big,
But being at 3 years, the like piece of the pie is more like we've completed more of it than not. You know,
Absolutely.
It feels so to me. It feels like that this year has come around a lap where we've got forward momentum into 5 years.
Yeah, this year, 2023, so many firsts.
It was a huge.
It was a huge year for us. Bringing on more staff, expanding into wholesale.
So we had Anastasia at the beginning of this year, and she was our first like full-time mill employee.
Right.
And I think seeing her transition away from the mill and then learning how to bring on new folks and having it be like we brought on 4 new folks in the past year. 5 if you count Julian. So we've got 2 full-time mill workers, 2 new part-time mill workers.
3, Vicky, Eileen, Liz.
Well, we had Vicky before.
True, but I'm just saying head count,
Yeah, and Todd. But like we...
and Todd.
I wasn't counting all. I was saying in this year we added, we added 2 mill workers. We added 2 part-time mill workers.
Yeah.
And then we have now this year we've worked with a lot of people on the not production side of things. So Julian is one, she's been doing a great job on
helping us out with
and social media and that sort of thing. We've included into the role of Liz, who is dying and doing mill work for us. She is also doing some customer service for us.
Yeah.
We had a business coach, Carolyn, that helped us a lot this year. We've worked with this amazing accounting help who's really good with QuickBooks to help us get that in order. So it's
neither of us are accountants, and so maybe this doesn't mean anything to you, didn't in the beginning to us. So we're going from a cash-based business to accrual. I won't go into what that means other than my head wants to explode.
But we've been, the web has grown a lot.
It has very much so. And we grew big time into wholesale. Mm-hmm. We are, we've got
and online. We really
online.
Our second year was not. I would have to go back to the books, but I don't think we even really had like a system in place for shipping out orders going into year when we started year 3. Yeah. So we've really grown a lot. And with growth comes a lot of learning. I mean, my goodness, I've learned a ton. It's just incredible. It's been super exciting. I don't know.
And it's the kind of learning stuff you go, how pallets, how pallets get moved around, how to break those cords that strap stuff in. It's just, how to fix a piece of equipment.
I think we've heard feedback from folks. You guys kind of like to know how the sausage gets made. So I think this is a great episode to dwell a little bit on this. But I just want to go back real quick from my own perspective. The history of the company is really broken. I mean, the birthday really does mark some major changes for us. So year 1 to year 2, I would say, I can't remember the exact dates, but I think Anastasia started right around our first anniversary.
I think that's fair. Yep.
So the first year
it was just you and I,
and it was on top of that, I got pregnant in the first year. On purpose, I was oh great, we started the business, because there was so much, when we were -1, it took us about 6 to 9 months to come up with the idea of the mill to getting it actually
where is it going to get located, how are we going to get the equipment.
Forever at the time, because COVID was happening. This was 2020.
It took and we were really struggling to find a location.
It really wasn't. You and I really stuck our minds to it and came up with the idea in June, and the mill opened in February, and we're God, this took forever. It wasn't.
Yeah.
So our those days were one period of time, and in that period of time I was considering having a family, and I was okay, we're gonna wait until the mill opens its doors at least. So then the mill opened its doors February 2021. We started doing custom processing. We started doing our own sheep's wool.
Yeah.
First, because they got sheared right away. And
cried.
Joy.
Tears of joy. I couldn't believe we were turning my wool into gorgeous yarn.
And I did roving, and it was awesome. And but anyway, shortly after we opened, I got pregnant. So the first year for me was you and I on our feet in the mill, literally sometimes ending up on the concrete floor in exhaustion because we just hadn't solved problems that we've since solved. We had a super hot summer that year. I had my first trimester. It was rough conditions.
It was rough conditions,
So then Anastasia came along, starting to go into year 2. And really because I knew I had this baby on the way, which Maeve arrived in April of 2022. So that was pretty soon into year 2, and year 2 for me was categorized as me stepping away from the mill process. You were still really into the mill process because you took on a lot when I was on maternity leave. We both trained Anastasia, but it was you and Anastasia really milling. I stepped back because I had a baby and I didn't have childcare, which is tough. Or I had very sporadic childcare for the first year.
Yeah, that was brutal.
So year 2 for us was really all about we started to experiment with direct to consumer yarn, making tracks, that sort of thing. But also it was, I was doing more of the web stuff, and I had a chance to build that out because I couldn't be in the mill because I had a baby strapped to me. And I started working a night shift because I didn't have childcare during the day. So Cody and I really staggered our schedules so that since I had the flex, I could do that.
Right.
So, the second year was this transition into getting more folks involved on the machine, opening up our production hours. And then I got childcare around the start of year 3, when she finally got into daycare. So this year I've been on the team, more or less, except that we've grown a lot. So you and I both have had to step away from the mill. to do more computer work, more business building, growing a ton.
Yep.
And I see next year going into it, obviously I've got this big project growing in my belly, so it's going to be a very different year for me.
Yep.
Hoping to get into childcare a lot easier for this one.
Right.
But I know I'm going to take a 3-month maternity leave.
Yep, which you should. You
So we'll see what happens, and we're going to do our best to keep every forward momentum that we built going.
And we will.
But I don't see a slowing down going into this year, but I also see like the baby's going to, come and make a splash again for me personally.
Yeah, for you, but you've done such a great job of establishing the pillars of the things that are on your plate that I have no worries.
And I want you to take a sec to talk about like what are you focusing on, because I think I'm on the website, I'm on the direct to consumer stuff that's sort of been in my boat, editing Millcast, helping manage marketing. You mentioned the operations stuff and the wholesale.
Look, growing the wholesale, but also just when you have a lot of people.
HR.
Well, HR, just making certain people are getting paid on time.
Important stuff.
But when you've got a number of people working in the mill, you got to make certain everybody knows, which way the train's running and how to keep things, trains on time. And sometimes things get thrown off, so we got to rejigger. But just trying to make certain that we have a work environment that is a positive one, that people enjoy working here, and that it's clear what their responsibilities are. Because we'll have people dying, we'll have people hanking, we have the spinner going, we're carting, and that's a lot of people.
And you're managing that day-to-day production schedule, really.
And when I can, I'm in there helping out. It's funny. And then so where does the day go? It's also there's just running to Home Depot because such and such broke. We need more 55-gallon plastic bags.
Our humidifier, which we need for the new spinner to keep the static problems at bay, we need one with a timer that turns on and off.
I did not realize, so I bought this, Todd ran down and got it for us. We needed more humidity, got the humidifier in, and I did not realize that if you put a timer on it, it'll turn it off, but the timer won't turn it back on because we would like it to turn on at like 5 in the morning so that when Emma comes in, the humidity's already gone up. Well, that's not what this one does. You have to have it built in. Okay. Hate that, live and learn. Hate it.
That's what a lot of, I feel like, the stuff that you've taken on. And
it's just problem solving and just, I'm one foot in front of the other.
You're great at that stuff.
I just don't quit. Well, you do the same. You're working that on
we got different. I just want to explain, like, we've kind of in the past year, I'd say we have worked to sort of figure out because there's so much that needs to be done to keep this business running, and it's been really exciting to figure out how to divide and conquer. I would say.
Yes, I would say that's fair. I think you and I are we have different skill sets, which has been great for the business. But I think what's wonderful is we share values, work ethic, sense of responsibility. So I think that's been really the big secret for us.
You say work ethic, but I also think a big part of work, I think work ethic maybe makes it sound like we're out here working 60 hours a week, 80 hours a week to keep this business running. It is definitely a full-time thing, but I think from the get-go, when we established the business, it was always important to us, the work-life balance, too.
No question, no question.
For you, it's between, the sheep farm and your grandkids and your, friendships, and I've seen you really set a good example, especially as someone who's had a longer career before me, to say, like, you know what, you're fried, go home, it's fine. The business, we're going to put this business in perspective. And we always have done and for me, as starting a family, that's been huge, is to have a partner who recognizes, look, the wool mill is exciting, and it's been an adventure for sure, and it's a piece of our lives, but Peg knows it's not my full life. She knows I've got kids, I've got a family, and I think that's been huge to the success of this business, is to say, we'll do what we can. We'll do the best that we can, but there's perspective there.
Yeah. I've always felt that, I'm a little on the intense side, and I do
Same.
I'm a little intense, and I do think about the mill a lot, even when I'm not in the mill. But I get great joy out of it. It's been incredibly satisfying. But you're right. I mean, I'm going to take a vacation.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that
so,
too.
Yeah, I think life balance has always been important, but I guess what I meant is just our core values. We have different skill sets, but we have the same core values in terms of, just honesty, being transparent, being candid, not letting things build up and get unresolved. I think there's a lot we have in common on that front.
Mm-hmm. Without further ado, we could probably wax poetic about what mill ownership means and the 3-year mark and whatever. But we also wanted to say we're having a little bit of a deal that we're going to run for the next week.
As a way of saying thank you. Oh,
where did those even go?
Hold
I forgot
on.
to grab one.
You start saying it, I'll go.
Oh, there's one of those there.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. So
The deal.
Our We Wool Rock Ewe bags, which are so fun. We just are so excited that they're out there in the world. Again, full credit to Todd for the pun. Full credit to me for the illustration.
For the guitar playing sheep.
Yeah, and these are we're gonna can't even say words. Every order placed between now and next Monday will come with a free project bag.
Yeah, you'll get this for free.
Yeah.
I mean, how fun will that be?
So help us celebrate our 3rd anniversary. If you need to buy some yarn, you're going to get a free project bag. So, those are on
So that's our little token of thanks for being on the ride.
The one caveat is it's got to be like a physical product. No gift cards, no digital patterns. But stuff that we're shipping out to you, all packages are going to leave with one of these, and you can get free shipping over $99. So there's my quick, awkward shift into sell mode. But hopefully you're excited to get one of these project bags.
I think they're absolutely adorable.
So fun. Yeah, people have been loving them. So that's that through next Monday, February 26th.
Right. So in other business, our modest little mill is going to college.
Oh my gosh.
This is so hilarious.
This just chuffed me so much yesterday. So we got an email from Caitlin McDonough McKenzie. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly.
Right.
She teaches at Bennington College in Vermont, and she had asked if they could use as part of their syllabus the pattern we put out for the Read This hat that we did for the knit along a few months ago.
Right.
And I said, sure, of course, just go ahead and use it for your syllabus. That's you have our permission to do so. And she mentioned, I think, in that email that they were also going to do something with the Millcast, but I didn't really think it through much. And then she sent the syllabus yesterday. The syllabus
is hilarious.
It is, okay.
Now,
I
hilarious
want to
isn't
take this class. It sounds
Well,
awesome.
hold on. The name of the class is Reading and Knitting the Forested Landscape, and it's a biology class.
Yeah, it's in the it's like a bio
Reading
something.
and Knitting the Forested Landscape.
So what does that mean? I had that question. It means they're going to use, they're going to do some forestry, natural environment stuff, and they're reading a book about the Vermont forest ecology, and they're going to take a look at stone walls and how sheep affected the forested landscape throughout the history of Vermont, and then they're going to look at contemporary Vermont and use, I guess, our Millcast and look to the mill and a lot of the materials we've put out there as sort of an example, which I'm just so honored to be a part of. Yeah. And they're gonna knit. Some of them learn to knit. You don't have to have prior knitting experience, but they're gonna knit the Read This hat, and they're gonna watch some episodes of the Millcast.
I just love it. We're very flattered. So
flattered.
Thanks. Yeah.
I love school and studying it. So the fact that I'm on a syllabus is I didn't expect it, but I feel weirdly this is something
You've
I'm putting
arrived.
on the list.
The bucket list done.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Caitlin, thank you. I hope your students have a good day. And the class starts next week.
Yeah, it does.
It's crazy.
So have fun watching the Millcast, folks.
So as the Millcast does, we want to show you what we've been doing in the mill. Let me start with some of the custom processing. It's been a week of Finn.
Yeah, which is such a lovely fiber. Yeah. Finn, despite being in the long wool category, which means it's got a ton of luster and not a lot of scales, grippiness to the fiber, it has a good amount of crimp and beautiful colors. Yeah,
so take a look at this chocolate. That's the natural color, and then this silver is the same. These are both in the same order. So same customer. She had a third as well with white, but we wanted to show you these two that are just so knockout.
And
they feel so soft.
That's pure Finn, is that correct?
No, this is Finn with some Shetland.
Oh, and Shetland is that also comes in such gorgeous colors too.
So
and then this is fin that is just, we blended a little bit of the making tracks fiber into this just to give it a little more cohesion as it goes through our equipment. But this white,
it's really white,
mostly fin, 90% fin or so, is just like so soft, and it's got just the beautiful shine to it. It's got enough like poofiness from how the fiber is that it's going to be really so lovely. Soft to knit with. Yeah. And the VM just flakes out a fin. That's one of the things I love about it, is how clean
it's very clean
the finished fleece is, and you don't have to jacket these sheep. They just naturally shed it.
Yep.
So I think they're a wonderful, it seems like relatively low maintenance breed for high quality fiber. Because consistently customers that bring us fin to process, I'm like, your yarn is gorgeous. What did you do? And they're not like experts in breeding for fiber.
Right.
Like not all of them are experts in breeding for the fiber, but it just looks amazing.
Yeah, it's spectacular. Yeah.
So yeah, if anyone is like just has a bunch of fins sitting around in the New England area and wants somewhere to bring it, we would buy. I would love to be able to offer fin to you all, but these are all for customers. So
lastly, got to show you this. I will show you a picture as well. These are the spindles, the bobbins that we're using on our new spinner.
Yep.
And our new spinner is rocking it. We are really taking off. And this is the 1,000-pound wool that we've talked about ad nauseum, that's scoured down to 572.
Blue-faced Leicester primarily.
It's like 80% blue-faced Leicester, and then there's a little bit of Texel and Scottish mule. But this is our first time also using natural yarn that we've gotten, and then we did it, believe it or not, in sport weight. Drum roll, please.
So this is a single ply. We're going to ply it two-ply.
Two-ply
and
sport weight.
And the resulting yarn should be sport weightish. We can't really tell till it's finished. Yeah. But it's, and what you mean by like using natural whatever, this is our first fleece to yarn that we've spun on the new spinner. So far, we've only been experimenting with spinning what we purchase as comb top to make making tracks on it. So this is our first it's from a sheep around
it's
here.
From a sheep, and the real test when we ran this through was, and we mentioned this in another Millcast, when we're putting this through the carder. In the past, we never had to put anything on it. We had to, when we carded this, we had to spritz it with an anti-static oil so that it could go through the spinner. And the question mark was, how much do you have to put on it? And I just said, you know what? I'm going to card it. I'm going to be responsible for it. Here's what I believe is the right amount of spritz. And we're carding 20 pounds, pin drafting it twice, then you get it on the spinner, and then you're doing this saying, oh my God, I hope it worked. And man, did it work.
Yeah, so it spun without a hitch yesterday.
Without a hitch.
And I'm excited to get that plied up and off the bobbins and see how it rinses, because it's going to bloom a lot.
It's going to bloom nicely.
Should be lovely.
Yeah. So that was very satisfying to have.
And we sort of breezed right over it, but I think it bears repeating. After months of trial and error and learnings, really, again, Peg and I are like, it's taken forever. Like, it's taken 2.5 months for us to really start to get this spinner into production.
Which reminds me, remember when we talked with the mill owners in England that had the same
6 months at least,
or 2 years before they really felt So I feel
now, and it's not even just like it's you and me doing it. Like, our employees are up to speed on this machine.
Yeah.
We're really cranking with the new spinner, and that is worth a pause and celebration. That going into year 3,
it's an amazing
new spinner is awesome,
and it's an amazing piece of equipment. It's really extraordinary,
and what it's going to do for our production capacity is just huge. So I'm looking at this. I don't see a single slub. Nope. It is lovely. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so that's what's been going on in the mill.
Yes.
You have a knitting bag. I have knitting. I just forgot to bring it.
Because it's Friday. It's not part of the schedule.
Well, I also walking the dogs and trying to get out of the house.
First of all, I'm going to show off my finished booties. They were almost there last time, and superstitiously, it didn't come true. The baby did not arrive the minute they were done, but I did want to bring them in to show you.
Very nice.
2 I-cords, I need an I-cord maker. They take forever when you're just doing them on needles. But,
adorable.
The baby will have warm feet. Woohoo! But I started a new project, and I actually have been really inspired to do more knitting because, anyway, so I started this on Wednesday.
Oh, geez, okay.
It's Friday, and look how much I knit.
God! Look at this!
Okay.
Okay.
This is for me also, which I feel really excited about.
Is this I'm starting a big project? Yes.
No, it isn't.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. It is a short sleeve sweater knit with like sport held with mohair on size 6s, so it's going to go fairly quickly.
Oh,
however, and it's
fabulous.
Like basically just a stockinette, which is why I'm not considering it my big project. I thought I'd start some color work, but I just wanted something that I can a little bit mindlessly knit.
So what's the pattern?
It is the mod. Does she call it a t-shirt? It's a petite knit, which I just always fall back on. Yeah, it's the mod tee.
Oh, adorable.
And it's a collared sweater.
Yeah. Okay, now I get it. So this is going to fold. Wow.
Okay, so let me tell you what we're looking at. So fiber-wise, I chose to knit with, and this is what I did want to knit with next, but I was thinking I'd do something color worky with it, and I decided to just go with a solid. But this is my Corriedale that I spun as light as I could on our old spinner.
Okay.
I think I could probably get it lighter today, but I think it's basically sport weight or a heavy fingering.
Okay.
It is, I think this was like, I don't know, this was like a 3,000 yards per pound single or something like that. It was
2-ply.
2-ply. So that is my sheep Brownie. She is an aging Morit, which means she's starting to get really light. Like she was closer to this color when she was a lamb. Yeah.
So Morit means that the gene that's it means kind of brown, and it can be across any kind of breed, and they are absolutely beautiful when they're lambs.
And she's got a lot of luster, and so I like to process her fleece separate. But yeah, now it's graying out. I'm really curious what color it's going to be this year, even lighter.
Yeah.
But I actually wanted it to be lighter, so I went and I blended some of this Cowgirl Blues mohair silk blend from South Africa. We've had Bridget on
we had Bridget on
podcast a few months ago. She has this, I guess in South Africa is where they raise the majority of mohair, goat fiber. So this is mohair blended with silk, which we're unable to make at the mill here. So I'm taking one strand of this and knitting it with mine, and it's bulking it up so that I don't have to knit it on like size zeros.
It makes it so soft.
So
wow,
it's been a fun project so far.
You've rocked it. It's since Wednesday.
Yeah, and notice this is a double knit. Like this is 2 layers.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Who's making dinner and taking care of the kid?
Leftovers. The kid got Duplo Legos for Valentine's Day from my mom. So the kid is finally interested in toys, and we have plastic all over, but it's fine. On the pattern, just quickly, I've learned a couple new techniques. This is the Judy's Magic cast on is how I did this.
Okay.
So you cast on this, this is going to be a folded collar.
Right.
Like this. So you cast on here.
Oh, really?
You can't see it at all. Because you cast on over 2 sets of needles. So
Okay.
I used 2 circular needles to do it, and then basically you're knitting it in the round where one side you're knitting the back and one you're knitting the front.
Oh my gosh!
And so you end up with this isn't seamed.
It isn't seamed.
But you're knitting stockinette on both sides.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just
You're
like,
so adventuresome. I would have seen that and gone,
I had to redo it once, which I was proud of myself for doing because I started on the wrong side, so I had a purl bump here, and I was shoot. Okay. I should have done it where I tried it first with like 5 stitches and figured out what I was doing. But what I really loved about it is, you're knitting basically like a little, it's almost like you're knitting a body of a sweater, like a tube.
Yeah.
But you're doing it over these 2 sets of needles, and then you go and you just like this main part, you're just knitting 2 together to get it to close up.
To get it to close up. To close up the tube so that you can then do, wow.
Yeah, and then the other new one is the placards. So it has these, for the buttons, I don't know if you can see in the picture, but there are like buttons where the collar joins.
Yeah.
That you have to do double knitting.
Okay.
I guess to make that section. So just these like the little front part, or the left and the right side have like 12 stitches that are 6 stitches on the back, 6 stitches on the front. So you're doing
I see.
knitting for that.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to get to the first buttonhole and learn how to do that. But yeah, it's fun. Like I've been knitting a lot of like we did a couple of our own patterns recently. It's fun to like just follow a pattern of somebody else's. Other than that, it's a very basic raglan, so I imagine I'll get rocking with it, it's good when the new baby comes and I just need some like mindless knitting. This is gonna be great.
That's nice.
But yeah,
really
I'm psyched about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay.
Wow. Well, the next time we go record with the two of us, which
the sweater will be done and it'll fit my not pregnant self.
Yeah, but I'll have mine going, so I'll share what I'm knitting on. Life marches on. We have, speaking of March 1st, we have an open house here at the mill.
Yep.
You may or may not be there.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. 3 to 5, that's a Friday, is our next open house, March 1st. And then that Sunday, I will be back at one of my favorite festivals in Wayland, Massachusetts at the Russell Garden Center. They do one in January and then one in March. I can't wait. I'll be back at the greenhouse. I get a great location with the sun pouring in. And so if you can make plans to, if you didn't get there in January or you've run out of yarn, come find me at the Russell Garden Center on March 3rd. I think it's 10:30 to 3.
That sounds right. Yeah. Something like that.
So,
and there's good food vendors
too.
You can make a whole day of it.
The food is, the food truck. Yeah, the food's great. And a lot of fabulous vendors.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of fiber farms there.
Absolutely. Meadow-fed lamb will be there, I think.
Yes,
with their beautiful thin yarn. They just did a pickup.
Yeah.
And then you're going on vacation.
I am taking a vacation before your baby drops. Maybe in theory, yes. I'm one of 6. I may have mentioned that, and one of my sisters is turning with her husband. They're both turning 60 this year, so they have rented a home in Antigua, and they've invited all of us, all the siblings, for a couple of nights, and then his side of the family is going to come down, and then their friends are going to come down, but all of my siblings mostly are going to be there.
And warm,
and just a nice little adventure in the middle of February. That'll be good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
But because of that, that's actually next week as we're putting the episode out, right? So this comes out on Tuesday. You're going to leave for vacation, I think, on Friday.
That's right.
So we decided, just with the potential of me going into labor and with your vacation, to just go with a very exciting pre-recorded episode for next week.
Yeah, we hope you're familiar with a woman named Clara Parks. She's the kind of the rock star in the wool world. Mm-hmm. Clara Parks has a really cool channel called the Wool Channel. She's a journalist, and her beat is wool all over the world.
I think she describes herself very accurately as a wool evangelist.
A wool evangelist for sure. And we had the pleasure of interviewing her. And we look forward to bringing that to you.
So we've been holding on to this one for just a little while, but tune in next week for that. And who knows, maybe the babies come, maybe not. But the reason we're definitely doing a pre-recorded episode
on vacation.
Peg is taking a little break.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah. And thanks again for being on this journey with us.
Definitely.
We could not have grown the way we've grown without your support.
It's been huge. So we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.